Tom at the Potato Museum, Meredith on the camera. This is the second video we're doing about the potato chips, so I thought I'd show you one of the old slicers that people, home cooks and early restaurants would have used. This is an old vegetable slicer, so I'm going to put the peeled potato in here and put down this little flap here, and we're going to turn the crank and see if we get, there we go.
Oy, oy, oy.
Look at that. Kind of squeaky, but I keep pushing on here. And can you move over here and just see the wheel over here, the slicing? There you go. All right. So, making potato chips. People have done it forever, probably made thin slices of potatoes and put them in oil. First, by the way, look at how moist this is. First, to make potato chips, you have to get the starch and the water off it. So you would wash them, and then you would dry them, but pretty quickly you would put them in the deep fat. But that's important for it.
But early on, people might have been making something with potatoes, and they accidentally, scraped a couple of them, and they fell into the fat, and bam, they created a potato chip, so not even trying.
Yeah, so there have always been people making potato chips. So we want to talk about the origin of the actual marketable, promoted potato. And maybe you're going to sit down here now, Meredith?
I don't know.
Okay, you're going to stay there. All right. So the first reference to potato chips in cookery books was William Kitchener. I've done a lot of research on this. 1822, his book, The Cook's Oracle, he has this sentence or this phrase: potatoes fried in slices or shavings. That's the first reference in English to potato chips. And we have this book here. Where is it? Oh, yeah. So this is from our cookbook, potato cookbook collection. It's Miss, what is it?
Georgiana
Hill. How to Cook and Dress Potatoes in 100 Different Ways. Published, what was it, in 1866? 100 different recipes for potatoes, not one mention of potato chips or slicing them and thin. So some recipe books did have them, but not very many.
By the way,
So the origins of the potato chip, that we think of the potato chip, happened in Saratoga Springs, New York. It was a fashionable summer resort for wealthy New Yorkers, and the Moon's Lake House was the restaurant that the Whitneys and the Vanderbilts and lots of fancy people would go to. And the chefs at the time were George Speck Crum and his sister Katie Speck Wicks. And the story goes that these two brothers and sisters were preparing food, and we think that Katie was slicing potatoes thin to make scallop potatoes, which is a very nice, delicious dish, which does require a lot of thin sliced potatoes. And some of them dropped into a boiling pot of fat, oil, and she fished them out and tasted them. The brother and sister declared that they would taste delicious, and that they would perhaps start serving them. So the Moon's Lake House began serving what became known as Saratoga chips in little baskets at all the tables and on the menu, and it became known throughout the region. And it started, other people started making chips in the style of Saratoga. So that's the beginning, 1853. And then the story advances to Anna Good, who was a Mennonite woman in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, who was making French potato chips in her kitchen. They got to be really popular. She was putting them in bags and sending them around the neighborhood. And so she moved her operation out to a shed so that she could have the kettle frying them and bagging them. And she started taking them in horse-drawn carriage to various local grocers. And the grocers would be serving or would be selling the potato chips in a dispenser like this, which we showed in a previous video show. And the potato chips bags, little bags would be here, and they would scoop out the potato chips into the bag and sell them. So that's a little bit about the history of potato chips, and it started taking off. All sorts of companies were springing up and making them in all sorts of different brands. Now, we advance forward to California and Laura Scudder, another woman. So this is the third woman in the history of potato chips. Laura Scudder was a trained nurse, lawyer, and a former restaurant owner who started her own potato chip company. And she had the idea that this was kind of inconvenient and not very efficient. So she had her employees, her female employees, go home, take the wax bags, wax paper bags home, and cut them into the shapes, and then iron the sides. And then they would bring the bags back the next day. They would fill them with potato chips, and then they would iron shut the wax paper opening. And it was basically the first sealed potato chip bag. She invented the potato chip bag, which revolutionized the business and made her a huge success, certainly around California. So 3 women important to the history of the potato chip: Anna Speck Wicks, Katie Speck Good. Katie
I think
Wicks.
it's time for some chips, don't you? Okay, thanks for watching.
No, we're not finished.
Oh!
No.
But it's
hold on.
6 minutes and 15 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah. Take a breath.
Okay, but we wanted to show.
Okay, all right.
We're going to show in
Oh.
the next video
Ah.
our collection of potato chips around the world.
And look, there's
And-
Tom.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about seasonings, because the first seasonings, it was everything. It was salted potatoes until the 1950s. And
And on that note, I'm going to say, basta.